Those of people who know my father know that he was an extremely liberal person. There were one or two things that he did not tolerate. I don't know if I'll go into that, but he was, other than he was the books that we read were not censored. He didn't say everything has to be. We didn't get the books of all the Gedolei Yisrael and what they did. If we were reading something and it came from the public library, that was good enough. One very hot summer day. I cannot say, it was a blistering, Philadelphia is like Tel Aviv, only worse. If you can imagine that. I was about 9 years old. And it was not like in Israel. When you're about 8, 9 years old, you wear a suit to shul. You don't come in shorts, you wear a suit to shul. It was too hot. I came to shul wearing my Shabbos shirt and my Shabbos pants. My father sent me home. He said, you don't come to shul dressed like that. And there was a time he'd say, you should out of shul. Because he was tall, he was running around up and down. But usually, I understand, was only 4 or 5 years, 6 years old at the time. But he said, you don't behave in a shul like that. So that was one of the things that he was very makpid about, was the kavod that you show to a shul. There's another thing that, this is a story my father told me. I wasn't there to see it. But I happen to know my father was an extremely, it's going to sound strange, but he was very strong. He had a tremendous amount of power in his arms. And he was telling us that one time he was with his father, who was also, when he was much younger. You know, it's hard to imagine Zadie Eliezer, you know, having any strength, because we know he was an old man with a long white beard. In his last years, he was quite sick. And so he was telling us that he was on I think it either happened to him, he was on a train. He was a crowded train in New York. And all of a sudden, he felt like somebody was going into his pockets. But he didn't say anything. He put his hand in his pocket, and all of a sudden, there was a scream on the train, and a fellow fell down on the floor, writhing in pain. He had taken the guy's hand, and I don't know if he broke his bones, but crushed his hand in his hand. They said he was very strong. Which made us all very surprised when he did get sick in the end. He was only sick for a week before he passed away. Today, there is a great talk about tznius, about how, you know, how girls should dress and how girls should behave and how girls should talk. Now, I don't know if my mother today would pass the test, the tznius test. But as far as tznius goes, I can tell you this was a woman who, in a classic sense, was very tzanua. The way she talked to people, the way she carried herself with a great deal of dignity. My father's salary from the shul was a limited salary. It wasn't the salary anywhere near the salaries that you have today. But with that salary that he had, she made a very fine household. There were no luxuries, but the children were always dressed well, not fancy, but well. And we always ate well. And we always saw the first thing that tuition for school was paid. I know for a fact that my parents did not go for education for decades, because it was much more important to see that the children had the chinuch that was required of them. And so, if my parents were here today, no, I'm still here. If my parents were here today, there's no doubt that the nachas that they would have of meeting each and every one of their grandchildren and great-grandchildren, who each and every one of you, and I don't know each of you, I would like to get to know each and every one of you in a very personal way, but I know that each and every one of you would bring a great deal of joy and nachas to my parents. And I would say, Avraham and Sonia, a job well done.